Thank you all for being here today. We're really excited to present this, and we're thrilled that you joined us. So today we get to talk about homeopathy and birthing. As we all know, Mother Nature is remarkable. And as we've experienced, life happens even when we're not looking. And mothers of all kinds have been giving birth for thousands of years without any intervention. And the life continues to flourish. But with animals, you'll see that they often have numerous babies because of the survival rate. It can be difficult, it can be arduous, and there are things that interfere from just nature. With homeopathy and people raising so many animals these days, having a tool like this offers gentle support in labor and birthing for animals and humans, and it's very complementary in assisting the mother and child going through the various different degrees of labor and birthing. So today, our focus with this course is the various stages of pregnancy and birthing, and using homeopathy for that along the way. Gestation is such a big part of this. And when you look up the stages of labor and birthing, they usually just say stage 1, 2, and 3. But for us, gestation is so vital. When you think about as a mother, the things that you went through, if you've had children getting pregnant, they tell you to take vitamins, they want you to drink lots of water, they want you to change your diet, do certain things that really allow you to be healthy and robust because you're growing another creature inside of you. So that's one of the things that we focus on today. We also focus on the labor part, which there are 2 stages to the labor, and then the post-labor for both mother and the newborn. And I'm going to turn over the Materia Medica to Dr. Alex.
So the first thing I want to say is that don't get very worried because you might confuse these remedies, because I'm going to go over it several times, although we try to talk about the most common remedies according to the stages of labor to facilitate the people to home in on the most indicated remedy. By no means this will be a rule. So arnica might come up on gestation, it might come up during labor, and most definitely will come up post-labor as well. The other thing I want to say as well is that these are the most commonly indicated remedies, but by no means it is an exhaustive list of remedies. So we try to home in on the ones that come up more frequently. So arnica, we can give it almost routinely during the last days of gestation to prepare the mom for the labor. And because the labor will always bring on a certain trauma, arnica is always indicated. And we also give arnica regularly when there is any kind of intervention, like removing teeth or surgery. Arnica within homeopathy is given routinely to prepare the body for the shock, because there will always be a certain trauma. As not shock, might not even be an emotional shock, but there will be a trauma to the tissues. So arnica in the last days, just before labor, it's a remedy that if you have nothing to lose by giving it to the pregnant animal. Calophyllum. Calophyllum is a remedy that some people give to tone up the uterus. So this remedy basically makes the contractions to be prolific contractions. Sometimes a mother might have contractions, but they are not effective. So although she's in pain and although she's contracting, the cervix is not dilating or the contractions are too weak. And so it's a great remedy to tone up the uterus, or even on the first stage of labor, we will come up again, if the animal is contracting, but nothing, the labor is not progressing.
So we wanted to share about stage 1, the pre-labor in animals, knowing that this can take hours or days, and the uterus prepares itself and moves the baby or babies into position for delivery. The signs can be somewhat vague with animals. Some of them, whether they've done it before or they've never done it, they can kind of go off and not give you any indication what's happening. So if you don't necessarily have the timing, it can be difficult to recognize in some animals if they're in pre-labor. So stage 2 labor is obviously the active expulsion of the fetus, and it begins when the water breaks, or so they say. The chorioallantos, the larger outer sac that surrounds the fetus, ruptures. This is very common. This is typically what you see. And then the powerful contractions begin, and it forces the amniotic sac, the smaller sac, around the fetus through the pelvis, followed by the fetus. It sounds great. It would be wonderful if it worked as smoothly as they've defined it here. And ultimately, this is what we want to see. But sometimes there are complications with that, and homeopathy can help. With the expulsion of the placenta and where postpartum complications come in, it can include things like retained placenta, placental abruption, physical injury, from whether it's the mom or the baby or both, the state of collapse where they could both be completely exhausted depending on how long or how intense the labor was, the lacerations that can occur, and of course shock, which is quite common after going through a lengthy labor situation, or a brand new mother who's not been through the process before and it happens to be intense. We have several remedies that we've highlighted. Arnica, once again, comes into play. It's one of those forever things that I think everybody should carry in their back pocket. Bellus perennis is a fantastic remedy for this. It's all about sensitivity, being oversensitive, and the abdominal cavity. Calendula, again, going back to the cuts, tearing, lacerations. Carbo-veg, state of collapse, where they're just completely wiped out. And again, with hypericum and how that ties together with damaged nerves and the C-sections. We are excited to share this webinar with the folks that are breeding, raising animals, that have, whether it's a whole barn full or you just do this every now and again as a hobby kind of thing. Having the information on these 29 remedies is invaluable. And we go in depth into the different stages, as well as the failure to thrive piece with the newborns and what they need for support after. Right now, we're offering the 90-minute webinar for $29. In addition to the webinar, you also receive the slides so that you can take notes on each one of the remedies as we are talking and discussing them through the webinar. And we also give you a Materia Medica handout, a PDF that you can print. And we recommend keeping it in the barn, keeping it with your remedies, make yourself a couple of copies because it's definitely worth having. This webinar is intended for both newcomers and longtime users of homeopathy. It will serve as a guide in supporting your animals through the many facets of pregnancy, labor, birthing, neonatal care, and nursing mothers. Please click on the link provided to complete your order or contact Homeopathy United for further details.